Hello, I'm Steve Paxton. I'm here with a new video walkthrough. This is actually a video companion to the written guide I produced on photographing smoke. I wanted to take a few minutes just to show you some unprocessed images of smoke, give you an idea what they look like. I also wanted to take a few moments to show you how I process my smoke images, hopefully to give you some ideas for your own processing. Right now we're in Lightroom and we're taking a look at some images I recently photographed of smoke. You'll notice that these shots are actually, the smoke itself is very grayscale. It's kind of a light gray, and actually when I used the flash to photograph these, the smoke had kind of a bluish tinge to it, and that's probably from the flash itself. And so I found, I just kind of point this out because I found that the color temperature right around 6700 seems to be about right. Let's take a look here. Or 6900, I should say. The original images were about in this range here. And again, that's probably from the flash itself, the color temperature of the flash. And so you can actually change the color temperature in your camera so that they are shot at 6900 Kelvin, or you can actually change them in Lightroom, kind of batch change them in Lightroom, and that's what I ended up doing. I just let the color temperature sit in the bluish range, and then later came back and changed it to that 6900, which is a little bit more, it's just a little bit more neutral, and actually what smoke looks like when it's drifting up. So that's just something to point out there. Let's take a look at some of these images here. You'll find that the smoke is, you'll get everything from very linear wafts of smoke where the smoke goes straight up and down almost like a vertical line, to very chaotic images where the smoke is just all over the place, and then virtually everything in between. So for me, I'm trying to capture smoke that has kind of that elegant look to it and is kind of unique and interesting to look at. There are certain images that I've caught here, like this is one of them here, where the smoke itself actually looks like water coming out of a faucet, and I think that that's kind of a interesting look, and it's actually really unique. And so really it's kind of it's a matter of setting up your studio properly, making sure that you're in control of the lighting and the airflow in your studio, and then just sitting back and clicking away and hoping for the best. I mean, it really boils down to a numbers game. You're going to end up shooting a lot of throwaway shots to capture a handful of decent images that you can later take into Photoshop and process. I mean, a lot of these images are interesting to look at, but they're, for the most part, they're very mediocre, and there's not a whole lot I can do with them. And it's just every once in a while I capture one that is worth taking into Photoshop and actually processing. So let's take a look at that, how we would process these images. Right now I'm in Photoshop. And this is one of the images that I captured of smoke, and it's actually one of the more unique ones. First thing I like to do is take a look at the smoke against a white background. I shot all my images against a black muslin fabric, so I want to see what it would look like if it was sailing against a white background. So quick and easy way to do that is you can Control or Command I, and that'll invert your image. But I actually like to create a duplicate of my background layer. And I'll show you why here. You can do that by clicking and dragging the background layer into the new layer icon down here. That'll create a duplicate background for you. The other thing you can do is go up to Layer, New, and then Layer via Copy, and that'll do the same thing. And let's go ahead and rename this. And I like to do this so that I have a little bit of flexibility in going backwards if I want. So what we can do is, with this inverted background layer, we can Control or Command I, take a look at it. And in this case, I actually think I like it. I like it with the black background. So all I'm going to do is turn off the visibility of that layer. And I'm going to leave that layer within my layers palette so that I can go back if I want and change my mind. And again, it just provides you with a little bit of flexibility. Next thing I'm going to do is go down to the adjustment layer icon here and create a new adjustment layer for hue and saturation. And then we're going to go ahead and tick the colorize box. And you can see that instantly adds color to the grayscale smoke. And all you have to do is move the hue slider up and down to change the colors of that smoke. And I think I like it with that fiery red. And then of course with saturation slider you can boost the saturation up a little bit to increase the color. Now what you'll find is if you get too much higher than about 40 in the saturation, that you'll end up starting to lose detail and you'll oversaturate the image. So let's go ahead and leave this right around 35. Usually somewhere between 25 and 40 is a good spot to sit with your saturation. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Now remember, we've got this inverted layer, so we can go back and take a look at that to see if we like the smoke against the white background. And it is kind of neat, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it with the black background and move forward here. Next what we're going to do is try to boost the contrast. I'm going to go ahead and create a new adjustment layer for curves. And with a black background, I'm going to pin the curve upward here, just like this. Just a little bit like that. And you can see that that increases the contrast of the smoke just a bit and pulls out some of the detail in the in areas where it's a little bit darker. So again, you just pull that curve up a little bit. Go ahead and click OK. Let's go back to the inverted layer and just take a quick peek. And so I've got the inverted layer selected and the visibility eyeball is turned on here. I'm going to go back to my curves layer, open that up again, and we're going to go the opposite direction just to take a look at what that smoke would look like against a white background with a little bit more contrast. So we're going to go in the opposite direction, kind of boost that contrast. It's before and there's the after. You can see a lot of detail missing here, but as soon as we boost that contrast, we pull a lot of that detail back in. So again, I am very happy with the black background, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. And I'm going to turn off the visibility of the inverted layer, and we're going to go back to our original state with the curves here. You can see the before and the after. And pretty much finished here, but what you'll find, not in all of your images, but in some of your images, you'll find that occasionally some of the smoke doesn't get lit up. And then and this is a great example with this particular smoke trail here. You can see that some of the smoke at the top here is really not being lit up by the flash or the strobe, and it's just outside of the range of the strobe. So I'm going to go ahead and clone that out because it's actually kind of distracting. So I'm going to create a new layer for cloning, and we'll go ahead and rename this real quick. And I'll grab my clone tool, and since we have a nice solid black background, I really don't have to do too much work in finding a source point. I can pretty much click anywhere I want. You can use the Alt or the Option key to find that source point. You Alt or Option and click, and then you go in here and we'll just going to paint out some of this smoke that's just not very well lit up. And I think that's just about it. And to build up your brush size, you just right click or left click, just like that. And I think that's about it. Now with the cloning finished, I'm going to go ahead and grab my crop tool, and I'm going to grab or push or press the front image button here. What that does is it restricts my crop tool to the aspect ratio of the image. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of remove some of this dead space, kind of tighten up the composition a little bit. And the last thing that we need to do is sharpen the image. And smoke images don't require a whole lot of sharpening, so you want to be really tempered in how much sharpening you apply. Now the way I do this is I'm going to use on the PC Shift, Control, Alt, and the E as an Edward key. On the Mac that's Shift, Command, Option, E as an Edward key. What that does is create a merged layer or a stamped layer of the layers below it. And we're going to go ahead and rename this Sharpen. And if you're in Photoshop CS3, you can turn this into a smart filter if you want. If you're not in Photoshop CS3 or later, don't worry about it. What that smart filter does, it just allows you to go back and adjust your settings again if you want. And so if once you get finished with that, go ahead and go to Filter, Sharpen, and then we're going to go to either Smart Sharpen or Unsharpen Mask. Either one will work here. And I'm going to go ahead and just turn up the amount to 100% and the radius to right around 0.8. Again, I'm just very lightly sharpening the image, and I'm just trying to kind of pull out some of the edge detail within that smoke. And we're going to go ahead and click OK. And we are finished. The final version of that smoke plume. And you can, of course, rotate the image if you want. And you just do that by going to Image, Rotate Canvas, and you can rotate it clockwise or counterclockwise if you want to go to a horizontal perspective. But that is essentially it. My name is Steve Paxton. You can catch me over at paxtonprints.com. I appreciate you watching. Take care.